Mets After Dark, week 2, and another week where the Mets just can't seem to come through in the big clutch situations. Plenty of opportunities tonight, plenty of chances for this team to show us that they can come through when we have them down and out. They had a young pitcher in Weathers on the ropes, and just another terrible gut feeling going into the ninth. You just knew they were going to score a run going into the ninth after giving up that 2-run home run. Francisco Alvarez looks completely overmatched. He looks over anxious. He's doing too much. He's swinging at balls outside of the zone, and it's not to hang it on him, but my God, is that a tough at-bat to watch to end the game when you're in a situation where it seems like Hader cannot figure it out, and he's swinging at pitches at his eyeballs. I mean, it's definitely not on the kid to drive in those runs throughout the game, but in that big moment, if it was going to be his big clutch Mets moment, that was it. That was going to be his, I'm here and I'm staying up here, and instead it's more of the same. It's more of question marks, and is he ready? We're going to have to wait and see. As far as the rest of the offense goes, Pete and Lindor can't do it all. They can't come through every single time they're in that situation. And they had their opportunities tonight. Mark Canha getting the bat blown out of his hands. Perfect representation of him in that last at-bat, getting hit with a pitch that would have been ball 4, and it ends up being strike 3. Not a lot to go off of in terms of positives tonight. Peterson looked great. Take out that one Machado at-bat. I mean, he's an all-star. What else are you going to really do there? He did what they pay him to do. On our side, the guys that we pay to come through didn't come through tonight, and that's just the way it is. But we're going to open it up here to your calls. Make sure to hit the request button if you're on Twitter Spaces. I just sent out the link to the StreamYard on YouTube. If you want to get some FaceTime, follow the link, subscribe on YouTube. Going to take our first caller here. People are already lining up. You just know it's not going to be a good night when it comes to that. But we're going to be here all night. We're going to be here for probably an hour or so. So make sure if you do want to get some time in, hit that request button. Make sure you're subscribing on YouTube. But we're going to get right into it right now. We got Pask. What do you got for me, buddy?
Kyle, good to see you again, pal. I missed you at Barstool at the ballpark. Next one, I'll definitely come upstairs and say hello.
All right.
I don't know, like a lot of thoughts coming out of this game. The one that I wrote down here was like, I don't know, like I love Buck, but he kind of punted this game throwing. You have Santana and Robertson warming up, and it's only a 1-run deficit going into the ninth. That's not impossible, especially I think it was like the 1, 2, 3, whatever it was. You probably should have thrown Robertson out there and played to win tonight. And I understand why he did it, because he's worrying about tomorrow. I get it. I just disagree with the mentality. That's on me. That's first. Second, I'm a Lindor guy. I love Lindor, but Jesus Christ, Lindor, like that was your fucking time. I'm not going to sit here and come on this YouTube show and bitch to you about Alvarez. Kid's 21 years old. He shouldn't be up here right now. He's not ready. If he was ready for the spotlight, Omar Narvaez wouldn't be on this team. You guys have covered that. I don't have to say that, but that's what it is, right? I can't be mad at Alvarez. Lindor, we needed you. Like right there, that's when we like your shining moment, right? As a Met, like these are the things you have to do. Right.
And same goes for the first inning. Like you can't just, people want to cherry pick here and there, that type of thing. But like when those big moments are up, you have Pete striking out and you have Canha swinging through and being overmatched by fastballs on a consistent basis. Like those aren't competitive at bats. And I'm sorry, but like it's just the eyeball test alone. Like they're just not comfortable in these big situations. They're all swinging through pitches and fouling off pitches that they should be driving. And then when they do make contact, it's weak contact. Like Canha, the one that he even flew out to, I thought right off the bat, I go, that's good contact. Nope. Terrible swing.
Kyle, Hader couldn't touch the fucking strike zone. Yeah. Every one of these guys could have just stood there. And all I was yelling at the fucking TV, my wife shut the door. She must have got pissed at me. I'm screaming at Alvarez, and once again, not his fault, but I'm screaming, don't swing the fucking bat. If you don't swing the bat, you will get on base. Yep. So but yeah, dude, the fucking first inning, this kid, I mean, if I was listening to your show today from whatever, I guess it was right before the game yesterday, and you guys were basically discounting the Yu Darvish game, which I would have myself too. I'd be like, "Hey, we're gonna get shellacked. It's these next two." So it just doesn't make sense to me that they could come out and they could fucking beat this shit out of Yu Darvish, right? Drive that pitch count up. And then, like, this guy, the starter could go fucking strike today. And we just let him stay in the game. We should have knocked his ass out by the third inning.
Right from the get-go, you got a runner on base, then you got Marte with a smart bump play. I mean, they were applying the pressure immediately, and then they let him off the ropes. I thought he was going to be out of the game by the third inning.
When Marte came, and I don't want to take up all your time tonight, so whenever you got to move on, just let me know. There was a point, I don't remember if it was the 8th or it was the 9th. It may have been the 8th. I don't remember. I guess when LaCastro, was that the 8th? When LaCastro came in, right? So LaCastro comes in, right? Steals second like we expect. I think we had runners on. We had Nimmo and LaCastro, right? First and second. What I was thinking when Marte came up was, man, this is like a time for Marte to bunt here because he's fast. And I think you got the three fastest guys on the team on second, first, and at the plate. Yeah. So I would have called a steal there. And I mean, whatever, it's armchair court, whatever, Monday morning quarterback. But like, there was a lot of things looking back at this game. Like, we needed more from our all around just shit show. Pitching was fine. I can't complain about the pitching. Santana's shit. We fucking know that. We know that.
But up until this point, like, yeah, he probably shouldn't have been there in that situation. No. But he hasn't been like the biggest like aggravation coming off out of the bullpen because, frankly, the bullpen's been pretty good so far in terms of what we're asking for them and him filling in for everybody. But you just knew something was going to happen in that inning, and then they were going to go right ahead and score, which would have been the tying run, and then we fucked over.
Once Santana came out, I was like, well, there goes this. And it's frustrating because you saw them, that would have been a tie game. Yes. That would have been a tie game. We probably wouldn't have been in extras. I think the pressure would have mounted so much. But listen, it is what it is. On to tomorrow. But I think, I don't know. I just don't like the idea of managing for tomorrow. You like, I hate to quote whatever his name is, that old Jets coach, you play to win the game, right? So Herm Edwards, yeah.
I think, again, thanks for the call.
Thanks.
I think that for the most part, you can't, especially when it's this early in the season and everybody's complaining about, do we have enough pieces? Can we win enough games? And here we are punting in game 11, game 12? The fact that we're within striking distance, we've been threatening all night long, and you're not playing to win this game that takes the series from a team that everybody's telling you has one of the best lineups in the game. I mean, those were their first runs that they scored at that point. Machado's double down the line. Other than that, they were cruising, and we were not taking advantage. You're telling me if we don't score 2-3 runs in those first few opportunities, that we do not manage that game differently with a 1-run lead versus down a run? I mean, it's not as if it was another Mets night for the lineup where there was just nothing going on and we didn't have a prayer. We were knocking on the door time after time. And in that point, I think you got to press the button. You got to go with Robertson there, and then you let the chips fall where they may the next day because you still have Ottavino. So, I mean, and to make matters worse, you look across to the Syracuse Mets, and everybody who's a name that's on somebody's radar is continuing to produce. You got Brett Beatty goes 3 for 5 with a double and a home run tonight. Vientos with the home run. Mauricio with the home run. And I'm watching Tommy Pham jog his ass down to first base when he needs to be busting it every single day because you're the fourth outfielder, my guy, and for some reason you were getting way too much playing time this early in the season. But we got some requests here on Twitter Spaces. We're going to fire it over there for a caller. What do we got here? Paz, what do you got? What's going on?
Can you hear me?
Yep. Paz, you're on.
Hey, I don't know if you can hear me, but just want to say It's all still really early. Look, I still think we have a great ball club, but this upcoming West Coast road trip is gonna suck. We always have a tough time out there. Other than that, didn't really notice, with early on last year. I mean, we had a lot of clutch hits, and just really haven't seen that a whole lot lately. So, just wanted your thoughts on that.
I mean, when it comes down to clutch hitting, baseball's baseball. It's the law of averages. They're going to get the hits in the moments, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's tough when you're having a tough night and 3 straight innings or 3 innings throughout the night, you're not getting the big hit, the hit that you're just put the ball in play in certain circumstances and manufacture some runs like we've seen in the past. So I don't think it's a matter it's tough when you don't have the guys that are. I mean, you have Pete, you have Lindor, and you had Canna in certain situations tonight where you'd expect those guys to at least put the ball in play. And in most of the circumstances, they either struck out or hit into a double play in Canna's case. And I'm not going to put that on Alvarez there to end the game. Should he have swung at any of those pitches? Absolutely not. It's clear as day. None of those pitches were in the strike zone. But you have a 21-year-old kid. He gets called up, as Pask was saying before. They weren't expecting him to be up here, and there was a reason why. He looked a little overmatched in spring training. He didn't get hot, and because he's not getting hot, he has no confidence. He's got 1 hit. It was a dink hit RBI, and he's not going to get consistent playing time if he can't produce when they're putting him in the lineup. And it's going to cause frustration for the fan base because you got Nito in there, and for some reason people don't like Nito this season just because there's nobody else to hate on at this point. And you got Omar Narvaez, who's going to be out now for like 2 months. So I don't know if there's a necessary answer there other than everybody's answer, which is Brett Beatty. But we'll see what you guys are thinking about that, because I'm sure as Beatty continues to heat up and prove if he's certainly not a AAA player at this point. If you want to say he's a quadruple A player where maybe he'll come up and struggle a little bit, I really don't see it. Even the home run he hit tonight, if you guys are checking out the highlights, I mean, that is a ball that is a pitcher's pitch, and he is crushing it out of the ballpark to dead center. But we got Fritz over here. What's going on, Fritz?
Hey, what's up, man? Big fan of the podcast and everything.
Appreciate it.
Dude, I've been a Mets fan my whole life. We can't score when the bases are loaded and we have an opportunity. It's driving me insane.
It's absurd.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, man. I mean, just as long as I've been a Mets fan, which is my entire life, cannot score with the bases loaded. It's brutal.
And it's with no outs. We were getting set up for perfect situations, and they can't come through. And it's like, it's early in the ball game. You have a 23-year-old on the mound. He can't locate his pitches, and you're letting them off the hook time and time again. And that's where I think the most frustrating part of this is that it's early in the season, yes, but these are games against a good team that are very winnable. And then when we look down the road and we're looking up at other people in the division, we're going to reflect on these games and go, wow, we got off to a really slow start where we're only beating the Marlins. And now we have a rubber match with the Padres tomorrow. It's a toss-up. It's going to really come down to what we get out of our pitching staff. And we don't know what we're getting game to game. So it just feels like we easily could have stolen one tonight, and it would have been a totally different reaction for tomorrow, because then tomorrow's gravy because no one was expecting a sweep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. It just seems like when we finally seem like we do have the answers, the very following game, it just seems like we have no answers. So
it's like we're
again,
like
we
right
don't know.
there. We're right there. All we need is a base hit. That's it.
And that changes the entire complexion of the ball game from that point forward, from the very first inning.
Yep.
But appreciate the phone call.
Hey,
we'll keep firing through these. All right. We got Eric. Eric on Twitter Spaces. What do you got?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I just feel like, there's some good that we can expect. There's some bad. Like, we're we're not going to be the worst team in the National League with runners in scoring position all year. So that, statistically that has to improve.
Right.
But on the other hand, I am a little worried. I mean, the bullpen has been solid in close games. Like, they haven't been amazing. They haven't been horrible. And I'm a little worried that they're going to get horrible. Like, we don't have any really big names to be, to kind of lean on. I mean, Robertson, obviously. But besides that, I'm a little nervous of the bullpen. So I'm just, So on one hand, the runners in scoring position has to improve, but the bullpen could get worse. So that's just kind of where I'm at.
It seems like it's going to be, and I hope it's not the case, but one of those classic Mets teams where we're going to have 2/3 of the puzzle every single night, and something's just going to be bound to let us down.
Yep.
That's what that last year we did not have to live with that, and lo and behold, it's 101 wins, and it was a cakewalk for most of the season. But I don't want to harp on the negative all night because there was some things that were done correctly, and that was just basically David Peterson. So he goes 5 2/3, 6 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks. He looked great. And for a guy who was fighting for his spring training spot, he was fighting for the last spot in the rotation. Him and McGill have been very competent and up to the standards that you would hope for at the bottom of your rotation. They're going to give you a chance night in and night out. They're going to fight. I mean, they're going up against big bats in this Padres lineup. And he seemed very cool, calm, and collected in most of his situations. Obviously, Machado, like I said earlier, got the best of him in one at-bat. And it was a seeing eye double down the line that barely made it fair after battling back and forth. I mean, tough luck loss for him. I don't know, what more you say there, but it was a valiant effort on his part. He did plenty to get them where they needed to be. And honestly, they score him a couple runs. He probably finishes that 6, and we see how far we can extend him. But I don't know. Man. I don't really have any answers, and it seems like neither do they.
Yeah, hopefully it'll turn around.
All right. Well, thanks for the call, Eric. We got Taffy. What's going on? Taffy, you're in the room. What do you got?
Mauricio should be called up. We trade Canna, and Mauricio should go on left. We need him to get outfield.
I mean, Mauricio is their biggest concern in terms of if he's going to be ready out of like the big 4 because he's got no plate discipline. Like that's been his whole thing coming up. He had a great winter in the Dominican. He's looked great so far, but I think that's why they're a little hesitant. I think if we're going to see anybody, it's going to be Vientos first.
I get that, but I really don't like Canna at this point. He can't come in clutch situations.
He does not look right, that's for sure. That was my pick for my guy this season. I thought he was going to have a big year, and so far, not so good. I mean, just ugly. Just the double play ball. It looked like he broke his hands on that swing. He's striking out. He's missing pitches that he should be driving out of the ballpark. The one, I literally thought he had it, and then you saw where it landed, and it's like he's just not making solid contact.
Yeah, I did like Peterson, though, tonight. I thought he's not going to do well this season, but he's really doing good.
Thank God. You need some sort of positives. It's just –
especially with Quintana and Verlander out.
Yeah.
Him and McGill been stepping up.
Yeah. So got to have some sort of sunshine through the rain here, but got to score the guys some runs.
Yeah, and the West Coast trip is not going to help at all.
Nope. No, it will not.
I hope we can bounce back in May, but
if you thought the fan base was ornery now, just wait until we're staying up until 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the morning to watch these games and watch. If this is the brand of ball that they're going to be playing, people are not going to be happy.
Yeah, no, and I really want to see Beatty up soon. I can't do it easy out Escarov at third base.
All right, thanks for the call.
Yeah.
All right, Mets 21-28. Blow out the speakers. Go ahead, buddy.
I'm going to say this. Bucks mentality, it's basically going biblical reverse. What does it say in the Bible? Worry about today. Leave tomorrow for tomorrow. I'm sick of him doing this when there's no reason to, punting away close games by going with his worst pitchers instead of his best ones. That being said, Peterson did a good job tonight. The other problem, this offensive unit's got to wake the F up.
Yeah. And
seriously, how do you F up bases loaded right out of the box?
The drop-off for
talk about
the lineup after the fifth is becoming very, very, very noticeable. And it is tough when you're looking down at the minors and saying, like, what are we doing, guys? And it's also
Alvarez, dude, quit swinging at everything, you son of a bitch.
He's a young kid. That was the whole point. And then he comes up, and now you notice it's been 2 games that he's playing, and now everyone that was calling for him to start is silenced.
And throwing the fact that that cut is so long and wide that it's no wonder he misses everything. Compact it, you dumbass.
It's an adjustment. It's an adjustment. He's going from a league where he's dominating to a league where this is the next level, and it shows, and this is the final level. And he's going up against Hader, giving the guy pitches away.
And he keeps swinging everything like a damn dog chasing a car tire.
That's a new one. I've never heard that one before. I'm not going to lie. All right. Alex, what do you got? Oh, you're muted.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
All right.
Hear me now?
Yes. Give me something positive.
Positive is Alvarez built Hader's thing to a 3-2 count at least. He didn't swing at the fastballs way out of the zone.
Yeah, he's got that going for him, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, Peterson looked good against a really potent Padres lineup. I mean, he went 5 2/3 with like 6 strikeouts. I mean, that's solid. If you hold them to 2 runs, that's a good outing. But I mean, how many times have we seen it with them? You have bases loaded, nobody out, strikeout, double play, and then it's just like that sets the tone for the rest of the game. Like, you got to get runs on your knees on the ropes.
It'd be one thing if it was – I mean, we'd still be pissed off, but let's just say that only happened in the first inning, and that was their opportunity, and they missed it. It happened throughout this entire ballgame. Every single inning, it seemed like there could have been some sort of factor where the Mets take the lead, the Mets have them on the ropes, they're ready to pull the trigger and get something going, and time again, they're not able to come through. And it's tough when it's your big bats and like you're expecting them to do it, but they're also the only thing that we have going for us. So when they can't do it every single at bat, you had Vogelbach in the dugout getting ready to pinch hit. Buck doesn't go with him. You got Pham starting yet again and Escobar starting again. And I understand there's a lefty on the mound, and I understand that's why you have Canna batting 5th. That can no longer be a factor. It's just play the guy who you think is the best player. Stop with these matchups, because the guys that you were trying to hope that the matchups pay off aren't playing good baseball at all.
Well, that's the thing with baseball now. It's just so analytical. Like, you have to put the righties against the lefties, put them higher up in the order. Like, it's just so annoying. Like, but also, like, Vogelbach looks pretty, I mean, I hate to use the word, but feeble against righties. So, like, are you really going to put him in the situation like that?
I mean, he doesn't have a ton of against righties or against lefties.
Like, I mean, from what I've seen out of Vogelbach this year, it seems like he hasn't done that well against righties. Like, he's walking a lot, but I mean,
he can't hit against lefties. So, like, they're not even. It's not even an option. So, if he's not doing that, he's not playing.
Where would you have wanted to see Vogelbach in tonight? Pinch hit in the 9th against Hader, or?
Well, they had him. They pinch hit with
Nito.
Yes.
Nito. Yeah. Nito. It was Nito over. Who did he pinch hit for? Escobar, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, they were hoping for another dribbler up the third base line.
Right. Yeah. Right. And like they have a power problem as it is. So like, Nito's not going to be the guy to do it for you there. As much as I like the guy, like that's not the situation. And we have a DH for a reason, but we don't have a DH.
Right.
So if you're going to say we have a DH, then you better damn well put that guy in the lineup when it comes down to it.
Exactly.
I think it's going to be Vientos. I really do. I think everyone's calling for Beatty, and I think Beatty will be here sooner rather than later. Or Guillorme. Yep. But I think that in terms of service time, which that should never be a factor at this point with this team and this owner, Beatty came up early last season, so it's got to be June for him for service time. So I think if they're going to do it, it's going to be Vientos. But we just need some sort of spark somewhere because Pete hitting 5 home runs isn't going to cut it because nobody else is protecting him in this lineup. Marte is solid and he's enough of a dynamic player to like get something going. But
do you like
two guys?
Marte in the 2-hole? You like Marte in the 2-hole right there?
I think they need to consider putting McNeil at the top of the order. I think they need to, if they're not going to have any production, they need to switch Marte and Lindor. I think there's like a lot that Buck can be doing to just like get these guys a different pitch sequence even because pitchers are going to throw them differently based on where they're hitting in the lineup and just plugging them into these same spots clearly isn't working.
What do you think about Marte 5, McNeil 2 against like a righty? I think
McNeil can hit 2 against anybody. It was driving me crazy tonight. Kind of kept coming up, and I'm like, this should be in McNeil's spot. Like, I don't care if it's a lefty.
I know it just sucks because I feel like Canna batted. He was like mostly a 6 hitter last year, right? He was not 5.
Yes.
Who was our 5 hitter last year? I feel like it was Escobar in the start of the season.
It was Marte at one point.
Yeah, when he was injured. Yeah, I feel like they went with Nimmo or Marte Lindor 1, 2, 3 mostly last year.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who was our 5.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right, let's get Blake Snell tomorrow. His 4-inning masterpiece.
Best of luck for us.
All
right, thanks, buddy. All right, we got Dylan on Twitter Spaces. What's up, Dylan? Dylan going once.
Yo.
What's up?
They need to bring up Beatty, put him in left field, Mauricio at third, and Cannon needs to split time with Vientos to give him time to adjust and just fucking wrap it up. Let's go to the playoffs and win a chip. I'm sick of this bullshit. Love y'all.
You want to call up all the young bucks? All right. I don't think we're going to see that. I don't think we're going to see Mauricio this season. Like I said, he had a great Dominican League World Series. He won the MVP over there. Everybody was impressed with his power and his improved plate discipline. But for him, his plate discipline was so bad that the improvement is still a number that like makes you scratch your head. It's early on in the AAA season, so like he totally could have turned it around. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't watch those games. I follow the highlights. I follow the stat lines. It doesn't reflect what that one factor is. But yeah, if the guys are ready to come up, they need to be up because Beatty should have broken camp. Yet Escobar was playing for Team Venezuela, not getting any hits. He didn't get any hits for us in spring training. He looked like he's looked so far. I just thought that Beatty did enough to deserve his shot right from the get-go. But we're seeing right now, it doesn't always pan out that way. Alvarez is up. Everyone's screaming for Alvarez. It's been 2 games. The struggle is definitely there. He needs to adjust. So if you want that's the thing with this fan base. They need to be good right away. They need to be good right now. It could very well be that management is shielding them from the fans that are demanding that they're up here. Because if they come up and they don't produce right away, then they feel like they're hurting them in that respect too. So you're a product of what you're preaching in all of this toxicity for every single player that's been up here. I don't think that Escobar has gotten off to a good start. I think he's streaky, and I think he needs to get hot and get hot quickly. Otherwise, he's going to find himself out of a job because I would rather Guillorme at this point. Guillorme puts together professional at-bats. Guillorme is one of the best fielders, if not the best fielder, on the field at any given moment in any given position. So if that's the case, and they even want to put him at second and move McNeil to third, like I think anybody at this point is going to be up for any type of change that sees more offensive production. If anybody on the stream wants to jump in, I'm putting out the link one final time here in the comments. Click that link. I'll get you in the back end, and we'll get you on here to say your piece. But we're going with Dan over on Twitter Spaces. What's up, Dan? Dan, you're on. Yo, Dan. Nope. Yep, go ahead.
because I live in San Diego and couldn't watch the game. But I don't know. I feel like I speak for a lot of Mets fans when I feel like one of the most frustrating things is looking at Nito's approach every at bat. I've never seen the guy choke up on the bat to try and drive the ball. Every time it looks like he's swinging out of his cleats. So I wasn't sure if anybody else has noticed that, but I feel like that is the most frustrating thing as a lifelong Mets fan, is seeing people that just are not refusing to change their approach when clearly it is not working over an extended period of time.
It's an interesting point. I actually haven't noticed it for Nito. He's got kind of a quirky swing as it is. So I'm going to have to look into it. I was never anything that caught my eye, but in hearing you say that and bringing up approach, I'm also surprised that people haven't brought up the fact that Eric Chavez is the bench coach this season. He did a phenomenal job as the hitting coach. He did too good of a job that he ended up getting promoted to bench coach. And I don't know, maybe he doesn't have the same hold over the guys as the bench coach. He doesn't have their ears the same way he did last season. Maybe they're not walking up to the plate with the same type of mindset they did last year. I really just don't have the answer. But like Pete, for instance, tonight, when Pete poked the ball into opposite field, we're getting flashes of an offense that can still grind it out, that can still put the ball in play when they need to, except for the fact that he didn't do that in the biggest at-bat that he had in the game in the first inning. Like, he fouled off 2 pitches that he was dead red sitting on, and then he got a nasty curve changeup that screwed him into the ground. But if you're shortening up and you're trying to just put the ball in play in that situation with the bases loaded and no outs, we need to be driving in runs there. We need to sacrifice your own at-bat and your own glory to hit a sacrifice fly and get us on the board in the first inning and get the monkey off our back to start. But if the big guys aren't willing to do it and the other guys can't do it, we have big problems in that situation. And I don't know if there's an answer to it other than some nights those guys are going to be hot and we're going to score some runs, and other nights those few individuals are going to be normal baseball players and not hit the ball every single time, and we're going to have an issue. We need somebody else to step up. That's the biggest difference between this year and last year. There were plenty of times where guys went cold. But when those guys went cold, a bunch of random people stepped up in certain situations, and we didn't have to worry about it. Everybody's ice cold at this point. We've got 1 or 2 guys on the entire team that are hitting over 300 this early, and everybody else is middling around somewhere in the 200s. And that's being kind.
This is where I wish we had signed somebody who had the absolute motherfuck mentality for a fielding player. I think the best thing about the Max Scherzer signing, beyond stats and accolades, was that you got a guy in there who had the same gusto, anger, and fury that we need out on the field, like what the 80s Mets had with Keith Hernandez. When, was it Bobby Ojeda that he said it to? If you throw a slider here, I'm going to fucking kill you. I thought, like, having somebody like that takes that extreme accountability. So even if they're hitting 154, just be like, look, I suck right now. I'm working on it. But guess what? I'm trying my best. Not the, smile, just be happy there's baseball. I want to hear, that you're working for it. You're just as bad as us psychopaths that are living and dying on every pitch in April because there's something truly broken inside of us.
Yep. And to put it in perspective, too, this is a 500 ball club. This is a team that should have just taken the series from the Padres. So, it is all sky is falling, and there's definitely some issues. We're not turning a blind eye to it. It's early in the season. You'd hope that the guys figure it out, and if they don't figure it out, you hope that they bring in the guys who will figure it out and figure it out early. But it's tough not to have these trigger reactions to this team when they're sitting there and they have every opportunity and they're not capitalizing on it. And I keep seeing people bringing up the fact that this is a $345 million team. The roster's built terribly. There's definitely holes in it, but this is not a $300 million lineup, and I don't think anybody should be saying that it is. It's that the fact that we've tied up so much money in 3 pitchers and a returning center fielder, and then they didn't And we're the number one payroll in baseball. So, like, the money's going places. It's just not going to the places that has it from top to bottom.
I feel like it's broke boy thinking to just constantly go back. As you said, and in all the other episodes, where we got to believe it's investing in the pitching staff. All right, we've got an older staff, but guess what? We're developing the future. We're working on it. We got these young guns that are coming up, these young bucks that are going to be cheap. So, the next few off seasons, we're going to be able to invest heavily in these star-studded players that are going to want to come and get paid and win.
Right.
So people, sky is falling. It's like, I just got to take a deep breath. It's April. Yes, the games mean as much now as they do in September. And I think some people either overemphasize that or they forget that.
Yep.
It's like, this is going to be a big series against the A's because, hey, 3 wins right here. Okay, we got the 500 monster off our back. We got the rubber match tomorrow. It's not a big deal. We just gotta, the ship has to stay the course. The road to 96 does not come easy.
No truer words. All right, thanks, Dan.
Yeah, have a good night.
Oh, and the thing with this is also, if there's going to be changes, this is not the team that we are going to see in June, July, and August. Like, if this is still the same team DNA-wise after the All-Star break and we don't address the issues that are glaring issues down the line, and who knows what the issues are really going to be 2, 3 months, 4 months from now. If you got Verlander coming back, he's probably going to be back end of April, beginning of May. You'd hope that shores up the rotation where you have Scherzer saying he fine-tuned some things and figured it out. You have Verlander back. You have Senga, who's been looking great. And then McGill and Peterson. I'm not going to mention Carrasco because he looks like a disaster. But you have McGill and Peterson who are putting together a decent body of work thus far. That seems like enough to build off of. We need somebody to step up at DH. We need people to hit in the clutch situations. We need to stop playing our fourth outfielder 2-3 times a week. What are we doing? Get the guys that we are paying for to play hot right now, and then we'll go from there. But until we're, 30 games into this thing, we're not going to know what type of team we have with this roster. All right, Benny, what do you got? Benny.
What's up? How's it going?
Good. What's going on?
Good. You hit all the nails right tonight. I'll just say this. As someone that's with the Penn State varsity team, baseball team up here, I just don't know why they didn't tell Alvarez to take a pitch. I mean, he was up at the count 2-0, and he's swinging at ball 3, and even Keith Hernandez said it, like, why didn't they tell him to take a pitch there? I don't get it.
I think it's a young kid with, not only do you have the adrenaline and the juices flowing, just because you're in a major league setting, you have the pitch clock, you have Hader on the bump, you're overwhelmed completely, and you haven't had anything to really build off of in your early tenure so far with the club. And I mean, the dude is like 5'8", swinging at pitches that are at his eyeballs against one of the best closers in baseball. Like, he used his timeout before the at-bat started, so he didn't even have time to take a breath. It was just like a perfect storm of awful.
That was another thing. The clock was hitting 0, and Hader wasn't even really set to go, and he called his timeout, and I'm just thinking, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, Hader's not ready to go. But I can't really get on Alonso tonight because he's been carrying the offense the past few days. I mean, Saturday he hit the big home run. Sunday he got the RBI hit before Carrasco imploded, and Alvarez did too. But Lindor is struggling. I know he has slow starts in April, and I'm really hoping he turns it around. But this reminds me a little bit of what Lindor did in 2021, always chasing at balls. I mean, he looks frustrated right now. If anyone needs an off day tomorrow, it's probably Lindor. Yeah,
and he's like such a big proponent of he needs to play every single day. You could see it even after his swings when he's mid at bat. He's looking at the gigantic scoreboard to see what it is that's going wrong in his swing. He's trying to make adjustments on the fly. It's tough too that you're a switch hitter, so like he's got way more moving parts than the next all-star, that's hitting behind him. He's got to figure it out from two sides of the plate. And you're right. I mean, sometimes it clicks and sometimes it doesn't. And you could tell early on in the game whether or not what kind of night it's about to be.
Yeah, and like you were saying, if Alvarez isn't ready, and I'm with you on this, why isn't Michael Perez up here? I mean, everyone's saying it. There's an easy way to bring him up here. You put Quintana on the 60-day IL because he's not coming back until August. And then you can call up Perez. You can just add him to the 40-man. I mean,
I think that it was more of, like you were just saying, he wasn't on the 40-man to start, whereas Alvarez could come up immediately. And I think it was public pressure. I think it was the fact that it was like the ease of, let's just bring up the guy everyone's been calling for. Let's see what we have. Can we get a flash in the pan situation? They tried it last year, and you know what? They screwed him over last year with that whole situation too. Bringing him up during the Braves series and tossing him out there in huge situations. That's not fair to the kid. Like, and if they continually say they don't think he's ready, and he's going into camp this spring saying that he's going to be, his goal is to break with the club, and they're like, absolutely not. You don't have a chance. There's something going on there.
I agree with you 100%. They put him in spots to fill from the get-go. It's kind of sad because, I'm just going to use the Braves as an example because they have all this young talent. I feel like the Atlanta Braves always put their prospects in the best place to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And the Mets, and this includes Vientos, Beatty, and even David Peterson to a degree, because Peterson last year struggled out of the pen. He was great, don't get me wrong, but McGill too, he struggled out of the pen. These guys, I feel like, just get put in spots to fail where other organizations put their prospects in a place to succeed most of the time.
Yeah.
Once at least.
This was coming completely out of dire need. I don't think we would have seen Alvarez all season long had Omar not gotten hurt. And I truly believe that, and that's not a knock against the guy. I hope that he turns into a great player. I hope that he turns into a great player right now while he's up here with us. But the signs you have to read the signs there, and they're telling you he's very green. He's 21. Even tonight, you could tell Keith was getting frustrated with the way he was framing pitches. He's not even receiving the ball well, and it seemed like Peterson was in certain instances too. You're just throwing him into the deep end for what?
Yeah, I agree with you. Listen, Tomasino's fine. He is what he is. He's a backup catcher that keeps getting thrown into being a starting catcher.
Right.
And listen, the Narvaez injury stinks the most because he was the only guy that was really hitting out of this lineup. Other than Pete, really. McNeil, to a degree.
Yeah, out of the 9-hole too, the spot where you weren't expecting the production, and he was putting together professional at-bats. So you hope for a speedy recovery and he comes back, and undoubtedly that will be when Alvarez goes back down, unless he finds some sort of gets on some sort of heater in the DH spot. But yeah, they need to focus on if you're gonna go with these guys night after night and not call up Beatty and not call up Vientos, then it's sink or swim with the veterans. Don't do it to Alvarez. Do it to the guys that you're claiming are the guys that this team needs. Throw them out there, and if they don't produce, we'll see you later.
Yeah, and listen, Vientos isn't that young anymore. I think he's going to be 25 this year, maybe 26.
Mm-hmm.
With him, it's really time. I mean, let's see what we got. I mean,
yeah.
Maybe I get because he's 22, but Vientos, he's not getting any younger. But it's just frustrating. We'll see what happens.
Yep, absolutely. All right, thanks, Benny. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Vientos has been a question mark for me since last season. Seemed like Buck didn't like him whatsoever. He came up and he was putting up numbers of strikeouts. It seemed like they were trying to hide him from professional baseball to use him as a trade prospect, as a chip to another team to try to fleece them of look how good his numbers are. We don't know what he's going to be in the pros, but we can tell you what he is in AAA. And then they brought him up and he struck out consistently all the time. So it doesn't seem like that's the case right now. I hope that he comes up because I'm willing to try anything at this point. There needs to be some sort of lineup length I think Buck needs to rearrange the order. I think he needs to rely more heavily on Guillorme in the meantime, because at least Guillorme can do the little things. He can bunt people over. You know you're going to have superior defense. He's at the bottom of the lineup, but he also grinds out at bats. So even if he's not getting a hit, at least he's driving up the pitch count, which is a lot more than some of these other guys are doing. And the fact that we're falling back on, oh, maybe he's going to drive up the pitch count, tells you that there's problems at the bottom of the order. But I wish it would have been a happy Mets After Dark. We're going to get one of them one of these days. Shooting for, we're going to do maybe Wednesday next week. It's a 3:10 game, so we'll end right around dinner time. I won't have everybody up late here. Get some more of your phone calls. If anybody else wants to jump on, we got a few minutes here before I'm going to cut it out. Just throw up the request sign. I want to hear what you guys are thinking. Sounds like everybody's pretty much thinking the same thing here, and that's that night after night we're going to be able to do a coin toss on which type of Mets squad we're about to show up. It sucks. It's second you get some sort of excitement about this team, it rears its head and you're right back to just questioning everything. And it's always something different. Like, I was very happy with Scherzer last night. I saw some people complaining that there was too many people making contact with his pitches, and that's why he had to leave in the fifth. But, like, again, this Padres lineup is very good. So I don't know what more you're asking for from the guy when he had two terrible starts where he imploded, and now he finally comes out and gives you what you need, and we get the win. So what's going on, Sam? Sam's connecting. Let's see what we got going on here. Sam? No? Something's going on. Hold on 1 second. Now, we wanted to get Tank on tonight. I'm sure you guys wanted to hear him rant and rave about this team and Canna and whatever else, but just so happens he was at a hockey game tonight. I'll let him get his due. I'm hoping that next week they win and he'll have a lot less to complain about. But I don't know. It's let's just get the win tomorrow. We'll worry about the West Coast trip when it comes upon us. Luckily, they had the A's. You got Senga going against the A's. Let's get some wins out there before we get fed to the Wolves. But let's not say it's anything different than any other series. They're playing a very good team right now. So, yeah, they're going to go through the West Coast gauntlet early and all that good stuff. But they're being tested right now. And so far, it seems like the pitching has held up. It seems like when the bats are right, they're going to score runs. They just beat Yu Darvish, who they've never been able to beat. I'm just going to call it what it is. Tonight was an off night. We're going to turn the page because what else can you do? I need to see more out of these question mark players. There's far too many question marks the second you get past Pete. Like, Mark Canha, if you're going to be an everyday outfielder, you need to start driving the baseball. You need to just, even if you're not getting a hit, I just need to see that you're making solid contact. Last season, a lot of seeing eye singles. Maybe the ball just broke your way. Who knows? Escobar, I just need you not to strike out. Nito, I'm not expecting much out of you, my man, but neither's anybody else. There's no answer to these question marks until they start showing that they can show up on a consistent basis. And doesn't even seem like Buck and the front office thinks that it's the case either, because that's why we're not seeing them as frequently. They're just playing whatever hand they're dealt. They're going to go with matchups until they prove to everybody else that's watching that they can actually play. And until that happens, we're going to be stuck in this situation for the long haul, folks. All right. It's been real. We'll be back next week. I appreciate the callers. Let's hope we have something positive to talk about. Got the podcast on Thursday, so be sure to subscribe if you're not already to the YouTube channel. Follow Gotta Believe on all socials. We'll see you next time.